Hey, thanks for clicking on another Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment Podcast video. Just checking in to see for those that were following along with Showtime's Escape at Dannemora with starring Benicio del Toro, Paul Dano, and what is her name? Patricia Arquette? I think it's Patricia Arquette. Tonight was the conclusion. I think it's a 7-part miniseries, and it's just detailing the events of last year's escape from Clinton Correctional Facility in New York with inmates Richard Matt, Benicio del Toro, and inmate David Sweat, Paul Dano. And tonight the finale was about I think it was 99 minutes in runtime. Um, they kept it pretty. I felt like they kept it pretty raw. Ben Stiller, like I mentioned in the first clip video, 2 videos ago, it looks like he kept it pretty simple. Yeah, 2 guys on the run with limited resources. I believe in one article I read said that the 23-day manhunt totaled $21 million in man hours and equipment and et cetera, et cetera. So and talking about it, solid mini series. Some great performances by Arquette, Del Toro, Dano as well, and then the guy that played Arquette's husband. I believe his name is Lyle Mitchell in the show. So yeah, they were basically just on the run in this finale. Had a couple of nights where they spent, or they came across some different cabins and different things out in the woods, and not a whole lot to really break down. I guess the interesting thing was that for as rap tight and collected and at home in his element as Benicio del Toro's character, inmate Matt, as collected as he was, and in control in prison and on the yard and on the cell block and in the tailor shop. He really didn't, he didn't fare too well outside. Once they got on the run, he got into drinking as they stumbled across the different buildings and structures that they found along the escape route, and he lost focus. But if you look at it, he didn't keep up his end of the bargain with working for them to get out. He kind of had the initial plan and introduced inmate Sweat into, here's a possible way to get out of here, and then it was Sweat who put everything together and who stayed committed to nightly working on the exit. As far as doing all the sawing and the thinking, the planning on how to get out. The other one interesting thing was, once the governor came to Clinton Correctional, played by Michael Imperioli, for him to start asking questions of how did this happen, and the guy, one of the facility officials was like, well, let me check on the log book. How often was this space inspected or checked? And it was supposed to be daily. And, obviously it took them X amount of months to get this all going, and nobody had been down there to check anything out. So that was one interesting thing. Um, Again, Arquette's portrayal of Telly Mitchell. I'm just wondering. Thinking come award season and whatnot, I would imagine that it does pretty well. It's, at least nomination wise. Who knows what happens coming down to picking a winner and whatnot. But like I said, I thought it was some pretty solid performances. I thought it was a departure from the rom coms and the comedies that we usually know Ben Stiller for, and I think it's a good project for Showtime. Um, the capturing, like I said, once the guys that they started to splinter the relationship, Dano realizing that this guy is on some BS. He's gonna get me captured. He's not thinking this stuff through, and I guess that's the one thing that stands out coming over from the episode. I believe it was part 5 when Telly didn't show up. When Telly Mitchell didn't show up to pick them up and help expedite this thing in terms of them getting down to Mexico and getting out of the country, and for the original plan to just totally fall to shambles um, by her situation with her anxiety attack or whatever it was. And I guess, looking at inmate Matt, he just couldn't get past that, thinking that he had her really bought into his plan. And I guess that's his whole thing, was just manipulation. And so when she didn't keep up her end of the bargain and he had to improvise, he really just wasn't about staying focused, staying on task, and doing what it took. Doing what it took to get to to give himself a chance to get to escape to freedom, I guess you would say, and make it up to Canada, which was what inmate Sweat was talking about. So yeah, I mean, we already knew the outcome going into it, and like I said in the last clip, I guess if you wanted to feel sorry for either one of these guys, or I don't even know. Like I said, it's more of it's really nonfiction, but of course they do some you take some liberties to change whatever to make the story better, but it is what it is. If you want to chop it up about your thoughts on it, or your favorite parts of the mini series or favorite characters and whatnot. The guy that played Gene Palmer, the male security guard who served, I believe, 4 months for his role in it. His character was kind of interesting because, as soon as the investigation started, he was up burning. I guess it just, that's one of the things to look at it, is just personal relationships and how you conduct yourself when you think no one is looking. Integrity. And here he is at work. It probably benefits him to have a relationship with different inmates. And I've known some correctional officers and some people who was doing different numbers on the inside, and it's a necessity at times, I guess, to maintain certain relationships. And the Gene Palmer guy, he said he didn't know anything about the tools that he smuggled into the prison, and it came back to bite him. And he ended up doing some time because of it. So it's just kind of it was a couple of it was a precautionary tale in a couple of different ways. about how things can go wrong for you. You know, things went wrong for Telly. Things went wrong for both of the inmates and how they got in there. Things went wrong once they got out. And then the capture of inmate Sweat, and that's the thing with inmate Matt. You know, he was shot down. You know, during the escape instead of being captured, and he was a screw up basically. He really was, and that was that. But then Sweat, it just seemed like, you know, there's strength in numbers. He was down to just himself, and he kind of got off of the discipline that or the commitment that he showed earlier in the escape, and you know, got out onto the near a road and kind of like left the, you know, the cover of the woods or the forest or what have you, and this officer pulls up and shoots him. I think they mentioned on there from 100 yards away. He shot him with the handgun. So that was pretty. Shot him twice actually without killing him. So hey, that's that. I don't want to go on and on and on, but like I said, if you want to talk about any of the details, feel free to leave a comment. You know, this might be a series that you like, but you don't have anybody to talk about it with. But I'd be very interested to hear what your feedback is and your thoughts are on the project. And you know, leave some comments and whatnot, and we'll chop it up if that happens. Again, this is the Pay Me No Mind, an extension of the Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment Podcast. I'm the host of it, Wood. Thanks for pressing play. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to come back and talk about anything, you know, some of the different entertainment and whatnot that I'm covering. So I appreciate it. I'm out. Peace. Oh, and tomorrow is New Year's Eve. So again, I don't know if I'm doing anything tomorrow in terms of a new video. But if I don't holler, you know, enjoy, you know, the welcoming in the new year. Peace.